Sometimes the person you choose isn't the one who stays. Sometimes they're just the one who teaches you how to lose. The rain hums against the window of a small coffee shop as Emily stares into the foam of her untouched cappuccino.org. Across town, Daniel drives aimlessly, headlights slicing through the fog of a November night that refuses to forget. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that when they left, it felt like the walls of your world collapsed inward? Emily once believed love was about finding the right person. Now she wonders if it's about surviving the wrong goodbye. Tonight, the past is coming back, not in dreams, but in words she never expected to hear again. Emily had left Daniel 5 years ago for Nathan, her high school crush, the boy she once thought she was meant to love. But life with Nathan was nothing like the daydreams she'd built as a teenager. She had traded quiet understanding for chaos disguised as passion. Now, sitting in this cafe, she can't tell if she's waiting for closure or a chance to rewrite her story. Somewhere outside, Daniel's car engine stops. Daniel pushes open the cafe door. The chime is the same as it was the night she left. He freezes when he sees her, as if the years have folded in on themselves. No words yet, just silence so heavy it could be touched. Emily turns slowly, and for a heartbeat, neither of them breathes. He walks toward her, every step echoing like the years he spent rehearsing what to say. "You look the same," he says softly, though he knows it isn't true. Her eyes carry miles of unspoken stories. "You don't," she replied. The moment cracks open between them, tender and tense, fragile and real. Outside, the storm quiets into mist. Inside, words begin to spill, not about blame or bitterness, but about the ache of missing someone who once felt like home. Daniel leans forward. "There's something I never told you," he says, voice trembling. The air tightens. Emily's heart races. The confession is coming. The words hang between them, fragile as the light flickering above. Daniel's eyes glisten, not with guilt, but with something older, deeper. "When you left," he begins, "I didn't chase you, because I thought you were finally happy. But I knew," his voice breaks, "I knew Nathan wasn't what you imagined." Emily blinks hard, remembering the years she tried to make the wrong love work. Somewhere inside her, the walls she built start to tremble. Regret and relief collide in her chest. Emily exhales slowly. "Nathan loved the version of me he invented," she says. "I tried to become her until I couldn't recognize myself anymore." Daniel listens, not interrupting, his silence saying everything words can't. The hum of the coffee machine fills the space, blending with the sound of rain returning outside. Two people once broken by choices now sit in the same room, discovering that forgiveness sounds like truth, spoken gently. Outside, the world has changed. The rain stops, and the glass clears, as if the city itself is exhaling. Emily whispers, "I thought you moved on." Daniel shakes his head. "I tried, but some people don't leave. They just live in the quiet corners of your life." For the first time, she doesn't look away. The truth isn't beautiful, it's honest. Emily's phone lights up, a message from Nathan. She doesn't open it. Instead, she turns the screen face down. "He never loved me," she says, voice barely audible. Daniel replies, "Then maybe now you can start loving yourself." The sentence lands like truth she's avoided too long. Outside, a siren fades into the distance, leaving silence and the sound of rain against memory. The cafe clock strikes 9. Chairs scrape. The barista dims the lights. Daniel stands. "Me," he says quietly. "The night you left, I got a call from your mother." She frowns, confused. "She told me not to stop you. She said you needed to find out for yourself who Nathan really was." Emily's eyes widen, pain, understanding flooding in together. You knew, Daniel nods. Sigh did. And I waited, because I believed you'd come back when you were ready. The world seems to still around her. The confession isn't about guilt. It's about love that never demanded anything in return. The night ends. But the conversation lingers inside Emily's chest like a pulse that won't slow down. As she steps into the wet street, her reflection ripples in every puddle. One woman, two versions of herself. Her phone buzzes again. Nathan. For a second, she hesitates. Part of her still wants to understand why it all fell apart. But maybe closure isn't about answers. Maybe it's about finally walking away without needing them. She exhales and presses call. The past picks up. Nathan's voice is slower than she remembers, older, dulled by years of pretending everything was fine. Emily, he says, I didn't love you the way you needed. I just didn't want to be alone. His words strike softly but deeply, like rain on an old wound. Then why did you stay? She asks. Because you made me feel like I could be better, he admits. Silence. And then she whispers, but I stopped being myself. For once, he doesn't argue. Do you still think about us? Nathan asks. Emily's lips tremble. I used to, she replies. But now it feels like remembering someone else's life. Nathan laughs softly. The kind that sounds like surrender. You were always meant for someone who could keep up with your heart, he says. And just like that, the ghosts begin to fade. She doesn't hate him. She just no longer needs him to explain why it ended. Emily ends the call. For the first time in years, her hands don't shake. The city smells of rain and possibility. She scrolls through her messages, finds Daniel's number, and types, "Thank you for waiting." She doesn't send it yet. Some things deserve to be said face to face. Behind her, a cab splashes through a puddle, scattering reflections like broken glass and stars. Daniel's apartment sits a few blocks away. He hasn't gone to sleep. He's sitting by his window, watching the same rain she's walking through. When her figure finally appears in the distance, his heart forgets how to keep time. She pauses outside his building, lifts her face toward his window, and smiles faintly, as if she's been walking home all along. Emily stands at Daniel's door, heart thrumming like it remembers a song it once forgot. When he opens it, the years between them seem to evaporate. You walked through the rain, he says softly. She smiles. I guess I finally stopped running from it. There are no grand gestures, no rehearsed lines, just two people who have learned that sometimes love isn't about finding each other again. It's about arriving as the people they became apart. Inside, the apartment smells like cedar and old coffee. A single lamp glows beside the couch, where he spent years wondering if she'd ever come back. Emily looks around. You kept the photograph, she murmurs. Daniel nods, glancing at the framed image of them laughing at a lake long ago. Some memories feel more like promises, he says. She touches the frame gently. Then, maybe it's time we make new ones. Daniel sits beside her on the couch. I never blamed you, he says. Emily's eyes glisten. I blamed myself, she confesses, for leaving something real for something that only looked like love. He shakes his head gently. You didn't break us, Emily. We were just too young to know how to hold on. For the first time, forgiveness feels like peace rather than pain. Emily leans back, breathing deeply. Nathan told me something tonight, she says. Daniel tilts his head. He said I was always meant for someone who could keep up with my heart. She laughs softly. I think he finally got something right. Daniel smiles. A small, knowing smile that feels like sunlight breaking through after days of rain. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's full of everything they never stopped feeling. Midnight hums outside the window. Daniel walks Emily to the door. You don't have to decide anything tonight, he says. She nods, but her hand lingers on the door frame. Maybe I already have, she whispers. Their eyes meet, steady, open, unafraid. This isn't the same love they once knew. It's quieter, stronger, the kind that doesn't chase, it stays. And as the rain starts again, she smiles. See you tomorrow? See you tomorrow? The next morning, sunlight spills through Emily's curtains, washing her apartment in gold. She hasn't slept, but she feels lighter than she has in years. On the table lies a small envelope, Daniel's handwriting on the front. Her fingers tremble as she opens it. Inside, a letter written years ago, never sent. The ink has faded, but the words still breathe. If one day you realize the love you chased was never home, I'll leave the light on. Her breath catches. He never stopped waiting. The letter continues, lines filled with the quiet patience of someone who loved without asking for anything back. If we never meet again, know that I'm grateful. You taught me what it means to love without possession. Tears blur the ink. Emily presses the paper to her chest. All those nights, she thought she was forgotten. She was remembered in silence. Sometimes love doesn't disappear. It just waits until you're ready to see it. She finds herself walking again, this time not out of confusion but clarity. The city feels different in daylight, alive, forgiving. At the corner near the park, she spots Daniel sitting on a bench, coffee in hand, the same gentle stillness in his posture. He looks up as she approaches, a quiet smile curving his lips before she even speaks. I read it, she says. Took you long enough, he answers softly. For the first time, they laugh, without pain. They walk together along the path where the leaves gather at their feet. No more confessions, no rehearsed apologies, just steps that fall into rhythm, naturally. Emily turns to him. Did you really think I'd come back? Daniel nods. Not right away, but I hope that someday you'd stop chasing ghosts. She smiles, eyes glimmering. You waited for a long time. He shrugs. Some things are worth waiting for. They stop at the lake where the wind ripples over the water like glass. I thought this place would hurt, Emily admits. It doesn't anymore, Daniel says. Maybe because this time you didn't come to say goodbye. She looks at him, eyes soft. No, she says. I came to start again. The moment hangs in still air, their reflection rippling together across the water, no longer separate. Weeks pass. The rhythm between Emily and Daniel settles into something new. Gentle, patient, real. They meet for coffee, walk through the park, share quiet evenings that don't need filling with words. Yet beneath the calm, Emily feels a small unease. Healing doesn't come from returning. It comes from rebuilding. One evening, she looks at Daniel across the table and says, I don't want to hurt you by trying to fix what's gone. I want to build something that's new. He nods slowly, understanding. Then let's not start where we ended. Let's start where we are. Emily spends her afternoons painting again. Something she stopped doing when she left Daniel years ago. The canvases fill her apartment, each stroke a confession of who she's become. Daniel visits one evening, his eyes moving across her work with silent awe. You found yourself again, he says. She nods. Maybe I just stopped looking for myself in other people. It's the first time she realizes that love and independence can coexist, not compete. Later that night, they sit on the floor surrounded by brushes and unfinished paintings. When you left, Daniel says, I told myself I'd never love you again. But the truth is, I never stopped. Emily smiles sadly. And now? He pauses. Now I want to love you differently, without fear. She takes his hand, the kind of touch that feels like coming home to something you built together, not something you lost. As autumn deepens, they take short trips outside the city. No grand escapes, just quiet drives to nowhere in particular. One afternoon, Emily watches the passing fields through the window, sunlight brushing her face. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I never left? She asks. Daniel glances at her, smiling faintly. then maybe we would have never learned what love really is. The road stretches endlessly ahead, golden and open. That night, they park by a quiet overlook where the city glows below. The silence feels full, alive. Emily rests her head on Daniel's shoulder. "You waited for me," she whispers. He smiles, eyes reflecting distant lights. "Maybe I was waiting for myself too." She closes her eyes, feeling the world finally steady beneath her. Love, she realizes, isn't about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person beside them. Winter comes quietly. The city feels slower, the air sharp and still. Emily and Daniel move through their days like pages turning gently, steady, unhurried. One evening, she finds herself standing by his window again, watching the snow fall outside. "Do you think love ever really ends?" she asks. Daniel shakes his head. No, it just changes shape." She smiles, eyes following the drifting flakes. "Maybe love doesn't vanish. It evolves into something softer, something that no longer asks for proof." Emily paints through the winter, each canvas a story of what she's lived and survived. Daniel reads while she works, the silence between them gentle and whole. One night he looks up from his book and says, "You know what I love most about us?" She looks over her shoulder. "What?" "What?" "That we don't have to be perfect to be real." She laughs softly, brush still move. "That's because we finally learned how to stay even when it's quiet." Why beyond these? Shorts or quiet. On a Sunday morning, they drive to the coast. The sky is silver, the water calm. Emily walks along the shoreline, her scarf fluttering in the wind. Daniel joins her, slipping his hand into hers. "It feels strange," she says, "to be happy without needing anything more." He nods. "That's what peace feels like." Waves curl and collapse in rhythm beside them, each one erasing the footprints of yesterday. Later, they sit by a bonfire on the beach, wrapped in one blanket. Emily watches the flames, her eyes reflecting gold. "Do you ever wish things had been easier?" she asks. Daniel shakes his head. "If they were, maybe we wouldn't have learned to hold on this way." The fire crackles softly, wind carrying the smoke upward. Healing, she thinks, isn't about erasing pain. It's about learning to build warmth from it. The next morning, the tide is low and the sky is clear. Emily stands at the water's edge, wind brushing her hair. Daniel walks up behind her, slipping his arms around her waist. She leans into him. "Do you think we're different now?" she asks. He smiles against her shoulder. "No, I think we finally became who we were always meant to be." The camera drifts upward as they stand together facing the sea. Two souls who learned that real love isn't about finding what's missing. It's about returning to what was always there, and this time neither of them looks back.